Well, once again, it's proving to be a very interesting week. Of course, the internal market bill has gone through its first reading and now is going into its second reading, where we will see amendments started to be added to the bill. And this could get very, very interesting very quickly because we don't know what type of amendments might be added. Who knows? It could be very, very interesting, but nevertheless, we've had. It may not seem like a quiet summer, but politically, it has been relatively quiet. But this whole thing has ended with a massive bang. Of course, culminating in this, and of course, no week would be complete without a bit of political insanity. And of course, this is always brought to us by the Daily Express. However, I'm not touching the Daily Express. This comes from the New European that's reporting on this interview that they did. And this is absolutely fantastic because this is a Eurosceptic that has come full circle as you are about to find out. And oh boy, I wonder if this will enter into our Brexiteer lexicon of attacks against the EU. It wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being there, but you know, in fact, I can almost guarantee at some point you will probably see another UK Brexiteer repeat this because it's almost a guarantee at this point because you know. Euroscepticism it seems to be a constant insanity train, and quite frankly, it doesn't just stop in the UK. It has multiple stops all the way around Europe. So, today's article comes from the New European, and its title is "Eurosceptic MEP claims that Brexit was an EU plot and calls for it to be reversed." I am being deadly serious with you. You've probably seen the title already, but I'm being deadly serious with you. This was an actual interview of an actual MEP by a national UK newspaper. Yeah, my country's perfectly politically sane. Oh. So anyway, here he comes. Nope. There we go. So, pro-Brexit newspaper The Express has carried an interview with Eurosceptic MEP Hans Olaf Heiken, who claims that he is convinced EU countries wanted to force the UK out. The German politician claimed it was no accident that former President Jean-Claude Juncker had picked a French bureaucrat for the job. I am convinced that French and other forces in Brussels actually wanted Britain to leave, as it was always Britain which stood in the way of, quote, more Brussels and more government, and the United States of Europe, and that Barnier, desperate, despite his public statements, would see Britain rather leave than stay. It is no accident that ex-President Jean-Claude Juncker picked a French bureaucrat for the job, he says. This means he is highly intelligent and well-educated and has perfect manners. I suppose that's good criteria for picking a negotiating diplomat, but maybe like Barnier, who is someone well versed in EU law, was probably more the better pick because he had that skill set of being well versed in EU law. But there you go. So Heikel claimed, Henkel, I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. Weird German name. Claimed that the EU negotiators' tactics, quote, outsmarted the Tory governments, in particular Theresa May's team. In the beginning of the Brexit negotiations on Brexit, he outsmarted the British government, Theresa May, by insisting that before they started discussing a trade agreement, the EU should have an agreement on critical issue of the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, plus a Brexit commitment on the price of exit. That was always going to be the case. That wasn't just something that the EU insisted on. It was pretty much insisted on all by the other EU countries that also agreed on it. That was their negotiating position that they all voted to follow, because they all recognise that the Irish border problem was going to be a significant problem, despite the fact that at the referendum time, you never heard mention of the Irish border or the Good Friday Agreement. All this entire sticking point is around this border. So he continued, why did Theresa May agree to the sequence of items to be negotiated? Why were the British negotiators always so poorly prepared when they met with Barnier? Because the British negotiators just aren't that good as they were claimed to be. I'm sorry, but that just seems to be the case. The British negotiators just weren't that good because they had no clue about what the hell they were going to be talking about. Remember, this was the department at the time run by David Davis, a committed Brexiteer. So, and this goes all the way back to the fact that there was no plan for leave. We've talked about that numerous times before, and about why the fact that there was no plan is a fact of one of the key factors of why we are even in this point to begin with. So this is the best part. He always showed up with a stack of folders, while his British counterpart, which was David Davis, had hardly more than a sheet of paper. I'd like to contrast by just going back and reading about David Davis and how he, quote, prepared for all these negotiations, because this was the guy who was claiming that we held all the cards when we were negotiating, about how this was going to be an incredibly easy deal. Be under no illusion that this was a Brexiteer who was leading this negotiations, who he's talking about here. So, and I think this is, more part of the European Eurosceptic movement, trying to blame the fault for Brexit on the British, not Euroscepticism itself. But there you go. Why did Britain change the negotiations so frequently? They didn't. You may want to count them. There were 3 or 5 or 4, while Barnier always just had stayed at the same job. And the politician who sat alongside the Conservatives in the European Parliament went as far as saying that he wished he could reverse Brexit. If I had a magic wand, I would vote for stopping Brexit altogether. And it is a warning, as it is a lose-lose situation. It is a lose-lose situation for Britain and the EU. It has one advantage. Michel Barnier would be without a job. Twitter questioned the politician's surprising remarks. We should have known when Barnier forced us to hold the referendum, quipped one person. The bloody EU making us vote leave, wrote someone else. This makes complete sense, said Peter. Said Peter. Of course the EU wanted the 5th largest economy out of its massively successful free trade zone. And, it goes on, but there you have it. That's the insanity of we're starting. But I think this is a move by the European Eurosceptics, because they've seen how Brexit has damaged their own Eurosceptic movement. So they are now trying to put the blame on the British, not Euroscepticism itself, which really is the core of the problem here. So, with that said, as always, thank you for watching. Please do hit that like and subscribe button. There are links down below to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link, so if you'd like to support the channel that way. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.